What's wrong with Webull? Are people leaving Webull? Welcome back, I'm Brent Bowers and this is My Money. Now, ever since the invention or introduction of financial apps, I haven't really been big on them. I guess you could say I was a little lacking in that sector to start. You see, back in the day, banking apps were like the first to come out for mobile devices, and you would hear stories of people getting their identity stolen, people getting hacked, their passwords being lost, and the whole thing was just a cluster during that time frame. 15 years ago, the technology just wasn't there. However, as the technological power and safety of cell phones improved drastically, so did the demand to have control of your assets at your fingertips. Fast forward to the present day, and I've been using financial apps part-time for about 7 years now, and quite honestly, I haven't looked back. I use Acorns for basic ETF investing. I have my banking app. I have one for watching my credit score, Credit Karma. I use Mint for budgetary expenses and stuff like that, and it's been great so far. I'll be the first to admit I am primarily a desktop type of dude. That's just who I am as a person. Since I've built my own PC many a time throughout my adult life, I'm what you call technologically stuck up. Now, since I don't have access to my desktop 24 hours a day, adding a mobile investment app to my phone was a good fit for me. So after doing some research for a few weeks, hopping on Reddit and Twitter, and watching videos on YouTube about this type of subject, I came across Webull, and it had a lot of good things going for it back in the day. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to have access to the market just in case I needed to capitalize on something. So that's exactly what I did. Since then, I've been very impressed by Webull's intuitive app system. The P&Ls, the ease at which you could buy and sell orders, the news, the daily P&Ls, the news articles, the research, the comments. It's a very intuitive system, and that's what I liked about Webull. But with that comes the inevitable politics of being invested and being involved into an industry where a lot of system of checks and balances are a bit sketchy. Now I'm talking about a lot of mobile investment apps coming into the market right now, including Robinhood and Webull. And you have with it, laws and statutes and rules and day traders and holding requirements that goes along with it. At one point in time, Webull had 75,000 daily users, and at the most extreme had several million a day. So it's a bit hard being in an industry of the mobile app investment world. That's why I was a little shocked to see subreddits firing up, launching anti-Webull sentiment on Twitter and Reddit and YouTube, just launching a whole bunch of bad things about Webull, saying that everybody should jump ship to Fidelity, who themselves have seen a large surplus in usage, so much so in fact that the maintenance personnel can't keep up with demand. So what does that mean? What does this mean now? Well, as it turns out, a lot of the negativity stems from a lot of retail investors getting burned by retail mobile investing apps of this type in the past. You probably know exactly who I'm talking about. It rhymes with Robinhood. From a very generalized point of view, as it turns out, retail investors and other apes have been very keen on sniffing out this type of corruption in the past, in the last year or so. Even though market manipulation has been around longer than I have, we've seen a large insurgence of corruption from a lot of different sources, including financial news media. It's a flavor that the apes and other retail investors have grown to recognize very efficiently. Of course, there are several issues of this, but one in particular that I remember very vividly is back when GameStop was doing its short squeeze thing, and Robinhood, which is the mobile investment app to use at the time, stepped in and halted buying and selling of GameStop during the short squeeze during critical moments, and it pissed a lot of people off. Now, even if Robinhood did in fact run into depository requirements, it left a bad taste in people's mouths, and since then Robinhood has been going downhill very, very quickly. On top of all this, Robinhood's reputation has began to sink lower and lower. Every single day there seems to be something coming out about Robinhood. You first and foremost had that $70 million fine. The feds, I think, confiscating Vlad's phone. The CEO not being insured by FINRA. A bunch of other things, the dark pools, the hiding shares, and since then Robinhood has been going down pretty quickly. So why even bring up Robinhood? What does this have to do with Webull? Well, as of right now, Robinhood is going down with the quickness and has been for a while. And in the path of this gigantic snowball of destruction, we have Webull. people are actually jumping ship out of Webull into Fidelity in hopes of approving more financial freedom and how their orders are routed. This brings us to the first point I'm going to make with Webull is the payment for order flow system. Those of you who don't know what that is essentially the compensation brokerage houses get as a result of routing their orders to a larger market maker. More specifically, one of our all-time favorites, you probably guessed it, rhymes with Citadel. To break this down a little bit more, the whole reason why a mobile brokerage company would actually use a payment for order flow is just sheer volume. You see, they can't handle millions and millions of trades a day, so they win by actually placing their order flow into a much larger market maker. It's a win-win. They can get compensated and do less work. In actual reality, investors and retail investors alike do actually have a choice in the matter. They can use a payment for order flow system. Depending on who you are, that might be a good idea. Or you can route your orders directly to the NYSE. If this sounds a little strange, it definitely does to me too. Why would a larger company actually pay a smaller company a fee for actually doing work for them? It doesn't make any sense. And that's where a lot of this animosity about Webull actually resides. If you think about it for just a little bit, the clue is actually in the name, market maker. They actually benefit by having orders routed through them because they take advantage of the option spread and having a large amount of stock in their inventory, and the option enables them to take advantage of buying and selling as they see fit. I was actually shocked to learn the criticisms of the payment for order flow system that's not even a new phenomenon. It's been around since the 1990s. I was shocked, and apparently under SEC scrutiny ever since, who in fact actually wanted to ban the payment for order flow system a long time ago. The problem with Webull is that they did in fact come out and say specifically that they are a payment for order flow type of brokerage app, and they actually do in fact use Citadel to route their orders for them, including other large market makers. It's not that using a PFOF is a bad thing. There's actually some good things to it. It promotes liquidity, and a lot of brokerages use it because it's been around for a long time. The issue is that there's no set transparency, there's no set guidelines for market makers to abide by, and they can easily take advantage of the market. There are several examples of this, but case in point, of course, I did borrow this picture from Reddit, so keep that in mind. There were instances, and several instances in fact, but one in particular is that a lot of the orders don't seem to be making a physical impact on the technicals when you look at certain charts. Case in point, this picture right here, where you see a lot of buy orders are not having a huge impact on the technical analysis, and of course sell orders you see having a larger impact, which means sell orders actually go into the market, and of course buy orders aren't really seen on technicals and go into the dark pool. Another area that a lot of retail investors and apes highlight is the conflict of interest area. Case in point, if you do know that a mobile brokerage app is using a payment for order flow system through a large market maker like Citadel, and you know in fact that Citadel has been accused of shady practices in the past, how is that not a conflict of interest? How is that not something that you would want to avoid? This is exactly how Bernie Madoff, for example, was able to get away with being a Ponzi scheme for so long. You see, the people that were in position of power and a position of authority and the checks and balances, all those individuals were actually working for him, so there was no evidence of collusion until it was too late. Another strike against Webull is the fact that they were lending out shares that retail investors actually owned, and turned paid them a commission for doing so. The reason why this got a lot of people fired up is because they don't disclose this information when you sign up for their account. Now, let me be clear, this isn't against the law and any brokerage can do it. They just don't admit to it when you sign up, so it's a bit misleading. Now, in Webull's defense, they do in fact have a page that helps anybody that's been signed on to this program get out of the program, or of which you are okay with lending out your shares for market makers to short against you. That's fine. They give you a small fee for that, and you can actually get commission from lending out your shares. So they are upfront with it. They do teach you to get off the program if you want to. The thing that I just didn't like, and a lot of people didn't like, is the fact that you automatically sign up for the program right when you open an account. And unfortunately, if this isn't enough bad news for Webull, it actually gets much worse. There was an article written by Business Insider from an individual called Ricky Houston, who actually wrote about Webull's F rating from the Better Business Bureau. They received an F rating because of shady business practices and poor customer service. So there is a lot to take in consideration. From my perspective so far, after hearing all these things and seeing evidence of it, I'm a little apprehensive about what brokerage mobile app I use. I think I'm probably going to switch to Fidelity. From my perspective, I really haven't had any issues with Webull so far. The payment's been okay. I haven't had any glitches or any bugs. I haven't had any problems liquidating my positions or buying things or readjusting things. Customer service has been okay. So I think Webull's attempting to turn to a better company, but in fact they do still do the payment for order flow thing. And if that's just not your cup of tea like it is me, I would in fact recommend jumping ship to a more substantiated brokerage. And finally, we get to this point in time. Well, if we're not going to use Robinhood and we're not going to use Webull, what can we do to make sure that our shares aren't used against us? Well, you do actually have some options out there. Like I said earlier, a lot of people are jumping ship to Fidelity, but in fact, Fidelity, Vanguard, JP Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch, Ameritrade, E-Trade, Public, all do not use the payment for order flow system. As I am talking right now, they do in fact have an option where you could select how your orders are routed. Now, I don't know if this is a new thing for certain people, but you do have that option, and I would in fact look for a brokerage that actually has that option. I know certain people on Reddit and Twitter are kind of worried that you can't buy certain shares, especially with the meme stocks being on fire lately, and that's always an issue. But do your DD, do your due diligence, and do your homework, and find out what mobile brokerage app works best for you. I'm going to keep my options open going forward, and that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I will see you guys in the next one.